Hey there, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. And I come to you a couple of times a week trying to explain different aspects of home buying, home selling, real estate, mortgages, just to try to give you some information, maybe answer some questions that you may have or that someone else has asked somewhere through the process. So recently we've been talking about this concept of protecting home ownership and what is title insurance and what does a title company do and why do I need title insurance and why does the lender have title insurance? Why do they require I have title insurance? Why do I have to pay for the lender's coverage? And today I wanted to talk about the common question that we get all the time. How can there possibly be a defect in the title or the ownership of my property when I just purchased it and someone did a title search and examined all of that title? How can something come up after? And particularly when you're talking about a property, obviously that's existed for centuries. How can there be a defect? All these people have transferred this ownership time and time again. How can there possibly be a defect that someone didn't catch? So there's lots of different things that could happen that can affect a home ownership. But particularly one of the things that happens most commonly is you have to remember that the people doing the searching are human beings. And so because of that, sometimes things may come up that there's no way they could find or that they made a human error. So one title company may do a title search today and another title company may have searched that title 5 years ago and didn't find the exact same defect. And the reason for that is, again, you're talking about a human being that may have missed something and it just never became an issue, so the seller never even knew it existed because whoever has that claim on that ownership didn't even realize that that hadn't been taken care of. So it doesn't mean it doesn't exist when someone hasn't made a claim against it. That's number one. But the other thing is, a lot of times, again, we're talking about human beings and things could happen during this chain of ownership that maybe didn't happen with somebody else because it just happened during this. Hey there, Tony. How are you this morning? Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys are online with us, please check in and let me know that you're on and let me know if there's something that you have a question about or maybe something doesn't make sense that we're talking about and you need some clarification. So again, we're talking about human beings that do the recording, send the documents to the county, the people that actually do the recording in the land records. They can't tell if a document was forged or if maybe something was recorded or marked as indexed in the wrong place. So when the person doing the title search actually was pulling all of the documents in that chain of ownership, maybe they missed one because it wasn't recorded in the proper order. So maybe something was missed that way. Maybe at closing, someone was really good at doing things the wrong way and they forged someone's signature, and when they were asked for verification of an ID, the person doing the closing took the ID, verified it, it all looked the same, when in fact maybe that ID was fraudulent and that person was signing someone's name and they weren't really that person. So these are some things that could come up that could affect the ownership that you don't necessarily know when you're searching that title. We do a search back 60 years because we're hoping that at least before 60 years that has gone through enough transfer of ownership that if there was something there that it would have been picked up. But we do a search back 60 years and then we actually review all of that information that's searched to make sure that everything looks like it's in order. But if there's a fraudulent signature on one of those documents, it may not be something that we could pick up because we wouldn't have the evidence on the other side to verify it. If something was recorded in and indexed in the wrong area for the searcher to be able to find, they may not be able to tell that there was a deed somewhere in that ownership that transferred maybe a piece of that property to a brother, sister, girlfriend, whatever, and so it was never picked up. So now maybe there's an ownership interest out there that was never actually transferred or taken care of, and there's no way to be able to tell that because that ownership deed was recorded with in a different area than in that actual chain of title, so there's no way to have been able to pick that up. But now maybe 5 years later, 10 years later, that person realizes that they actually had an ownership interest and that property's been sold and they weren't properly compensated for that. They may come back to you now and say, hey, look, I have an ownership interest in this property. I don't want this house, but hey, you owe me some money. And you're going to say, well, gosh, I don't even know what you're talking about. I haven't even owned it but 6 weeks, and so maybe it's the previous seller. At the end of the day, the problem here arises that you now are the owner, so you've got to defend your ownership interest, and that's what protecting your home ownership is all about. That's what the insurance you get at closing is all about, to protect those things that you might not be able to find or know about. Also, like I said, maybe things that the title company that did your closing had no way of being able to know about. And title insurance covers you for things that happened in the past, but that now become an issue during your ownership. It covers you for as long as you own the property, and there's no deductible or any additional cost other than what you pay at closing for it. Hey there, good morning, Miss Karen. How are you today? Hey, Phil, how are you? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So as I said, you may have an ownership, or you may have someone that has a claim potential that there's no way that the title company doing that closing could have discovered because of it being indexed incorrectly or a forgery. Those types of things are things that aren't obvious to the just being able to search that property without the evidence on either side. So the title insurance would immediately step in and take care of that for you. You would actually contact that insurance company, and they would start that claim process. Their attorneys take care of everything. You don't have to do any of that process whatsoever. So that's how something could happen, even though that title was searched. That's how something could come up that there's no way anybody in the process would have been able to figure out. It's sort of like, imagine it this way. If you buy a house and maybe there's some faulty wiring in the walls, and you had a home inspection done, but there's no way the inspector could have seen that. You have homeowners insurance to protect you for catastrophes at your house, and you end up having a fire. That homeowner's insurance will protect you for that faulty wiring, but there's no way anybody could have discovered that before closing. So think of it in that way, that this is an insurance that protects that ownership and that equity that you have from things that could potentially come up that there's no way anyone could have discovered. So that's how we can do a title search, and we may not necessarily find these things for you at that time, but that's why we want to make sure that you have the insurance to give you that protection. So hopefully that helped you understand that process a teeny bit. If you have more questions about this or anything else we talk about, or any questions about real estate, mortgages, closing, protecting your home ownership, any of those pieces. I don't always know all the answers, but I do know some really good professionals that can help us get the right answers if I don't. So I look forward to talking to you guys a couple of times a week. I usually scheduled come to you on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. But a lot of times if things come up, I'll pop in other times of the day. And I love talking to you guys and helping you with information. If there's questions that you have that aren't on this topic, please reach out and let me know. And also go to our website, www.footetitlegroup.com. And if you're a buyer or seller or realtor or lender, there's tabs specifically for you. Go down to the resources tab, and there's all kinds of good information on there. And our newest publication is actually online on our website now. It's the newest feature, and it's about things that happen after the closing. So it's a good little read for you to get some information on things that need to be taken care of, what happens after closing. So it's a good read. Go on there. It's up there for the whole month of November. So we'd love for you to go and download it and get some more information to help you out. And I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Connie Fuksa with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. And thanks for tuning in to Coffee with Connie. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.